So, welcome to the First Friday e-call. We are going to go ahead and start. The First Friday e-call was a brainchild of the K-State Research and Extension agents whose focus is community vitality. And they wanted to nurture the small businesses and inspire entrepreneurship across the state. And that's the E for the e-call is entrepreneurship. The call engages the knowledge, wisdom, and relationships of the local communities with the research and experimentation of the university and the state to create vital communities. There are so many entrepreneur support resources in Kansas and beyond, even beyond Kansas. So each month we take the opportunity to shine a light on just one. In the last 12 months, Network Kansas merged a group that it was hosting called the Rural Partners into this call, and that brought another level of richness to the participation. You may be interested in knowing that in the past 12 months, 347 people have participated in these calls. That's not an unduplicated count, as many of them listen almost every month. And as I was saying, I recognize your names as you feel like friends, even though I wouldn't recognize you if you walked in the room. An additional, even though 347 have watched the calls, an additional 373 have watched the videos that we record from these calls. And it's a resource that you can call people's attention to, even if they've never heard of us, as a way of finding out information. I've posted in the chat box, and we'll put it out in an email to the participants afterwards. There are 170 people on this mailing list. So beyond the 24 that are on right this moment, 170 people will get access to the recording and the list of other recordings that are there. I took the purpose of this call from Eric Peterson at Network Kansas, who said that the local community's role in encouraging entrepreneurs is to help connect them to the experts, the education, and the economic resources that are available to help small businesses and entrepreneurs. And I still haven't committed those 3 E's to my fluid memory, but I thought it was an excellent purpose for these calls. So our speaker today, our guest today, includes Secretary of Commerce David Toland and Rachell Rowand, the Program Manager of Business and Community Development of the Department of Commerce. At the end of the time that they spend, whatever that time will be, we'll have a sharing by partners, and I hope that you will all be thinking about whatever you'd like for us to know that's happening in your world. And Secretary Toland, I'm deeply grateful to you and Rachell for being on the call today, and I invite you to share.
Well, thank you so much, Nancy, and thanks to everybody who's joined the call across the state this morning. Good morning from Topeka. I've been on the road quite a bit this week, may have been in some of your communities. I was in South Central Kansas Wednesday and Thursday, including in Ark City, Winfield, Wellington, Pratt, and St. John, as part of an ongoing tour that I'm doing to make sure that Department of Commerce is visible and present all across the state. And so look forward to seeing those of you who I haven't already met or connected with this summer. So I'd like to give you an update on what we've got going on at the Department of Commerce and what our top 3 priorities are as we work to rebuild this agency. So first is communications, and this call is a reflection of that priority. So I felt that over the last several years, really as a result of budget cuts and some of the other challenges that we've had, it's been difficult for the department to communicate and really work on a lot of the relationships that are so key to business and community development. And so to that end, we have really made a focus on being visible and being present and doing calls like this and going out into communities and into businesses and asking questions, trying to understand what's on people's minds so that we can take that data and fashion it into policy approaches and a work plan at the department that will help you, help businesses, and help us all grow our state. As part of that, we are going to be debuting next week a newsletter that will go out across the state from the Secretary of Commerce's office that gives highlights as to what we're doing every month. We think that'll be helpful. We've also got a dramatically more robust social media presence. So if you're not already following me on Twitter at Secretary Toland, or following the Kansas Department of Commerce on Twitter, on Facebook, we would really encourage you to do that. This is a great way to keep up in real time with what's going on, and we put a lot of energy into this part of our communication strategy. We've also been working really hard to try to make sure that we've got good lines of communication with the legislature. And so that means that when I am out traveling around the state, I do everything I can to connect with your local representatives, your senators in the various communities where I am. And we think that's important, that we have those relationships, that we've got good open lines of communication. And that's going to be key as we all work to ensure that we're growing our state. There is agreement with whether you're Republicans, Democrats, whether you're urban, rural, suburban, we all want the same thing, which is to grow our state. And where it gets complicated is on how we do that. And so by opening these lines of communication, we think we've got a better shot at figuring out the how. So communication is number one. Number two, the last time the state of Kansas did an economic development strategic plan was 1986. It was something called the Redwood-Kreider Report. And that was an amazing plan that served the state very, very well for 20, 25 years, actually. But it's been 33 years now, and the world has changed, business has changed, communities have changed, state government has changed. And so I issued in March a request for proposals for a firm to conduct a broad, inclusive, transparent, strategic planning process for us, where we will be engaging with businesses, with local communities, and with the legislature in charting our goals as it relates to economic development for the next 10 years. And then once we've got clarity on those goals, then we're going to hash out the how. How do we get there? What incentives is it going to take? What statutory changes need to occur? What policy changes need to occur? How do we need to restructure the Department of Commerce? And so this, we have gone through reviewing those proposals, and we will be announcing a decision on the firm that will lead that in the next 2 weeks. So exciting things to come there. And what I would ask is, we're going to need everybody who's on this call and so many others to participate in this process with us as we determine where we're going to go as a state. This will only work if we've got a broad cross-section of people and agencies and businesses involved, and geographies, frankly, involved. So look for more information on that, and we hope that you will roll up your sleeves and be part of that process with us. And then third, to me, the core of the Department of Commerce, and we do a lot of things. We've got community development block grants, we've got workforce services, we do many, many things, but the core of what we exist to do is to grow businesses that are already in the state and to recruit new businesses in. It's about business development. And so we do that in different ways. Some of it is through our partners like Network Kansas, where we work to support entrepreneurs. Some of that is about, the recruiters, though, who are out in the field, both around the country and eventually around the world. What's happened the last several years is the state, once had a presence in key international markets. We had a recruiter in China. We had a recruiter in Japan. We had a recruiter in Mexico. We had a couple recruiters in Europe. And all those people were laid off. We closed those, we eliminated our presence in these key markets. And so that makes it harder on Kansas businesses to open up new exporting markets. And it makes it harder for us as a state when you've got an international company that's looking for a location in the United States. We want to make sure that Kansas is top of mind with them. And if we don't have that presence, it's a lot harder to do that. So I've been focused on making sure that we are reestablishing a presence in key markets. So we are in Mexico. We've got a really good recruiter there. I'll be going to Japan next month for a large trade show with a number of other Midwestern states that's focused on making sure that we have more trading opportunities between the U.S. and Japan. And Governor Kelly and I went to the air show in France, the Paris Air Show in June, where we worked to put together a number of deals that were aviation related that are going to have a great impact across the state. But we've got to do more of that. And so international trade is a key priority of the governor and of me. And so we're going to be staffing up aggressively on that to add on to the awesome team that we already have here, give them more resources, more people, so that we can get the state back in the game on international trade. We are also, though, focused on key domestic markets. So it used to be we had people around the United States, in Atlanta, in Seattle, in Minneapolis, in Los Angeles, in Phoenix, in New York, Chicago. So today, we've only got a presence in 3 of those markets. We've got somebody in Chicago, we've got somebody in New York, and we've got somebody in Dallas, who's Alicia Hutchings, who's also the head of our business development division. We've got to get back on the West Coast. We've got to get back into the Southeast and into the Pacific Northwest. And so we're working really hard market by market to get that set up. Right now, we've got an RFP on the street to get us, to find us a consultant who will work the West Coast for us. That is our top priority right now. And we hope to have that person on board this fall. So it's going to take us a while to get things rebuilt, but we've made a lot of progress in the last 6 months in all of these areas. I'm really proud of work we've done, but also, clear-eyed about how much work there is to come. And so we're working really hard, and I'm so proud of our team here at the Department of Commerce, our field reps, our partners like Network Kansas, Rachell and her folks who are a great resource. And to that point, I want to mention, and I don't want to take Rachell's thunder here, but the Angel Investor Tax Credit is such an amazing tool, and we're going to be working really, really hard in the legislative session that's coming up to make sure that it is extended, because it is it's just an incredibly important tool to grow small businesses into large businesses in our state. So I would be happy to take any questions that folks have. I hope this is helpful and at least giving you a snapshot of what we're up to at the department. And I guess last thing I would say is, if you need something, if you have a question, if you have a concern, if you don't know what's going on and you just want somebody to talk to, reach out to me. David.toland@ks.gov. Toland is Toland. Send me an email. I will connect you with someone who can answer your question if I can't do it myself. But we are here to support you. We are here to be a partner. We are here to help. And I'm sincere about that, and will do everything I can as secretary to deliver on that promise. So thank you all very much.
Nancy, you're muted.
I think you're on mute, Nancy.
There you go. Thank you. So Thank you so much, Secretary Tolan. We really appreciate you being here. We do have time for questions for you if anybody wants to ask. Well, Secretary Tolan, thank you so much. And I will tell you that the Commerce RPMs have just been a fantastic resource for people across the state and good partners with Kansas Pride and the K-State Research and Extension Department. So we really thank you for them and for their commitment too.
Yeah, I'm so proud of our RPMs across the state. They are our first line of communication, and they do a great job, and we're lucky to have them. And so, yeah, thank you to all our folks working day and night out in the field.
No questions? Okay, well, Rachell, floor is yours.
Thank you, Secretary. Okay, so I'm Rachell Rowand. I am a program manager with the Kansas Department of Commerce. I run the Angel Investor Tax Credit Program, the Rural Opportunity Zone Program, and the Individual Development Account Program. Today we were kind of going to go over the Angel Investor Tax Credit Program. It is a really great resource for entrepreneurs that are seeking capital investment. It actually helps them get investors involved, not just in the state, but from outside the state, because the tax credits are transferable. So I just started my slideshow. The purpose of the Angel Investor Tax Credit Program is for early stage businesses that engage in innovative products and services, technologies, to help create jobs and wealth in the state of Kansas. Each year, we're allotted $6 million in tax credits to divvy out amongst qualified businesses who apply for the program. On average, most companies receive about $200,000 in tax credits. Investors can receive 50% of their investment up to $50,000. So if an investor invests into the qualified business $100,000, we can give them $50,000. If they do $200,000, they can only get $50,000 per company that they invest in, with a max of $250,000 in tax credits for the entire year. And I'm going to try to go through the slideshow a little quick because it usually takes me about an hour to get through it. So I'm going to hit some of the highlights on here and not read through all of it, and then I'll leave it open for questions if you guys have any questions. So one of the major questions that we get often is, how do the tax credits actually benefit an investor? So most investors know that startups are very, very risky, especially in the seed funding round. So this helps them lower their risk by that 50% if they're doing the 100,000. The tax credit can be used in its entirety, the tax year that it's given. If they do not have a tax liability in the state of Kansas, they can actually transfer those tax credits. There is a market for transferring the tax credits to somebody else, but those tax credits also never expire. So they roll over. We had somebody who had gotten tax credits in 2006 that was able to transfer them last year. So he never ended up having a tax liability and was able to transfer them in 2018. Businesses that qualify, you have to be an innovative business in the state of Kansas. You have to have your headquarters here in Kansas, and you have to have either 60% of your employees are employed in the state of Kansas, or 80% of your operations are done in the state of Kansas. Okay, there are businesses that won't qualify. businesses that are in banking, loan lending, professional services such as legal, accounting, engineer, governmental charities, religious or trade organizations, the ownership, development, brokerage, sales, or leasing of real estate, insurance, construction management or contracting, business consulting or brokerage. Any business engaged primarily as a passive business, having irregular or inconsistent operations. That's usually those holding companies that have subsidiaries under them. They're not going to qualify. Their subsidiary might, but that holding company's not. No certified capital formation company. And then, of course, anything that violates the law, you can't be in business with. And any business raising money primarily to purchase real estate, land, or fixtures. Okay, so with Angels, there's things on your security agreements. So we only have a certain number of types of security agreements that we can issue tax credits for. What we can issue for is general or limited partnership interest, common stock, preferred stocks, with or without voting rights, and any form of subordinate or convertible debt, which both the warrants or other means of equity conversion. And then, so we've got information on those, which is like the safe notes or convertible notes that people use. Safe notes are kind of new to Kansas. They started coming up a little bit more last year. It is an East Coast type of security agreement. It's easier for us to run the tax credits through a safe note than it is through like a convertible debt. Because one of the things that you have to know if it's a debt instrument is that those convertible debt agreements, they can't have the principal listed as being paid back or the conversion being the principal not being paid at for less than 7 years. So the principal could be paid on, it could be paid on, but it can't be forced to be paid off, and the conversion for that debt to equity can't be less than 7 years. So it can be interesting if the businesses don't talk with us about how that convertible note's going to work before it goes through. Angel investors. To be an angel investor, to be qualified, your angels are going to register on our kansasangels.com website under the investor tab. There is a $150 fee for them to register. The form that they fill out is short and sweet, and it's an attestation that they meet the qualifications of the CFR 230-501A for a qualified investor. So it has to be a natural person. So we also take investments through like an LLC. The LLC has to lead directly back to a person, an actual person, and their social security number, because that's how the tax credits are issued. So it's a good thing to remember that if you're applying for Angels and you're looking at your investments and your investors are asking about LLCs. So it can only be in the LLC has to only have ownership by individuals. It can't be an LLC has ownership in an LLC that is now doing an agreement for securities with your company. It can only have that one LLC in there. I can definitely take questions on that too. I won't go over a lot of that because not a lot of our investors do the LLCs. We do have a couple that do the LLCs and push through so that multiple people can be involved in one. But it's pretty much, it's an individual person doing the investment gets the tax credit. And then this just goes over the investor registration. That's all we ask for: name, address, phone number, social security, the attestation, $150 fee. So to become an angel investor and to invest in the qualified companies in Kansas, it's a very quick process. Applying for the Angels program, you would go to kansasangels.com. If you're a company, we do require you to pretty much give us everything that you would give an investor. If you were pitching and you wanted an investor to invest in your business, you're going to send us that same information because we're investing in you. So we have to look through and make sure that you qualify, that you meet statute before we approve you for the program. And this slide just kind of gives you a list of all the things that we ask for when you do apply. And then that's pretty much the quickest overview that I can give on Angels without going into some super detail on it. Does anybody have any questions on the Angels program?
Can you provide us with this PowerPoint?
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Rachel, do you have any
Yes.
information on, in the last year about how many companies we've helped sort of every year, uh, sort of what our progress has been?
Yeah, definitely. So in 2016, there became a thing where a lot of people thought that the program went away. So prior to 2016, we were doing about 40 to 46 companies a year. That went down to 23 in 2017, 24 in 2018, and right now in 2019, I'm on 26 applications, but applications are still open until the end of this month. So August 31st is how late we can have an applicant come in. But we've had the 6 million for that, and we haven't been able to utilize that over the last, it's been quite a few years. They rolled over 2 million each year. So I didn't start with 6 million this year. I started with a little over 8 million in tax credits, and I currently have 4 million still available.
Rachel, on the chat, we have a question from Steve Bradley about the fees for using the program.
Yeah, definitely. So also what happened in 2016 was the 2017 fees that got attached to a lot of the commerce programs. And Angels used to cost $750 for a company to apply. We were able to talk that down and take $250 off of that fee on February 1st. So this year we started off with Angels being $500,000. Secretary, I'm very grateful for Secretary Tolan doing that. And then when the new fiscal year started for July 1st, he actually went above and beyond and lowered it again. So the fee for businesses is only $250 a year now. So I'm kind of excited about that. Hopefully that helps get us some more applicants in.
Good. And Randy Robbie wants to know, is it possible to get a list of the companies that Angels invest in?
Oh, yes. Actually, that's public knowledge. That is on the kansasangels.com website. Let me see if I can get onto it without.
If you'd like to, you can just forward that to me and I can forward it to the email group with the link to the recording.
Yeah, I can do that. So to generalize where it's at on the website, you go to kansasangels.com and then you'll go to the investor tab. And there's actually a hyperlink, maybe 3 sentences down on the qualified companies for 2019 currently. You can click on that. And if you want any of the previous years, go back up into the search bar and change it from 2019 to 2018, 2017. You can go back, I believe it goes back to 2005 on there and see the companies each year that applied for Angels.
Very good. Again, on the chat is, once a company is approved to use the Angel tax credits, how long do they have to raise the money?
Okay, so prior to this year, they had 60 days to utilize the credits. This year, I expanded that to 80 days because we had a lot of extensions going on where people couldn't get their raise in 60 days. So I extended it to 80 days to try and work on. If they are unable to use those credits, we're usually okay with being able to give them an extension on it. The only time that we won't be able to give an extension is if we have a lot of companies applying. I'm not going to put another company on hold because one company wasn't able to make a raise in the time that they said that they could. I don't want to hold anybody back. So if I haven't had to tell anybody I can't give them an extension at this point, but it could happen.
Got it. Feel free to unmute your calls and make your question yourself or put it in the chat.
Hey, Rachel, this is Amy. I know you've been doing a lot of presentations.
Mhm.
What sort of organizations do you usually present to? And if the community was interested in talking to you, how would they go about that?
Oh, so anybody who wants me to come out, any organization that wants me to come out, especially with Angels, any entrepreneurship group, anybody who's helping people get business plans together, I could probably come out and talk to them. But you usually want to have all your ducks in a row, and you want to be ready to talk to investors before you even look at this program. Your business has to be ready to go pitch. You really have to be ready to go pitch because of how quickly you have to get that raise in. So I know I went to 712 Innovations, and I did this presentation here in Topeka, and then I went down and presented it to Trish Braystad's group in Wichita. Her and Josh Oding had me come out. So any angel investor group that would also like me to come out and talk to them, I can talk to the investors about what the program can do for them and the companies that we certify, what the qualifications are for that. So I can definitely gear this towards an investor. I can change the PowerPoint around to teach investors or the entrepreneurs about the program. Is there any other questions?
What kind of interest rates are the people who are applying for who are arranging for businesses for these investments? What kind of interest rates are the investors typically asking?
Interest rates?
Yes, for the businesses who are applying for an angel investor, is there an interest rate that's typical for apply for?
Like on the security agreements that are issued?
I'm sorry.
Like on the security agreements?
Well, if I were a business, a small business, and I was applying for an angel to have an angel investor invest in my company,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of interest rate could I expect to pay?
I guess that's between the business and the investor, and it's going to depend on the on what the business is doing. I mean, I don't deal with their business deals. That's not part of what we do. So that's 100% between the investor and the company on how they want to do that, or what their return on investment is going to look like, or if there will even be a return on investment if it's just an equity conversion.
Okay, thank you.
So Steve Bradley offers a clarification that this is an equity investment, not a debt instrument. So I believe what the investor is hoping for is return on investment when the company is successful.
Okay.
Right. Like some of the securities are debt instruments, but that is also, we don't handle that. We just make sure that the security agreement meets the statute, and then we either approve it or don't.
If today's call has given you the feeling that this is something that you need to be interested in, I think Rachell would be very open to your continued conversation about that.
Definitely.
Or if you think of somebody else who needs to know it, that's exactly what the purpose is. So thank you for your question. So Rachell, I realize you don't have slides about the IDA program, but individual development accounts are something that I've been interested in for about 20 years, and I was shocked to find out that Kansas actually has such a program.
Yeah, so Kansas does have the individual development account program, and it is very, very underutilized across the state, which is interesting. I know the federal government took away the IDA program and funding 2 years ago. So for IDA, it's used for people in low income situations, which means that they have to be at or under 200% of the poverty line to qualify. But they can use it to purchase their first home, buy and repair or repairs for their home. They can pay for college or specialized education training, or they can use it to use or infuse small amounts of capital into their small business. So this program is not geared for businesses that are launching, like going big. This is for your small businesses that maybe there's something going on with the sewer line, or somebody needs a new pizza oven, or they need a new refrigeration system, something like that. So this is a 2-to-1 match on savings for individuals. We allow you to save up to $3,000 and for a minimum of 6 months. And then we will give you a 2-to-1 match on that. So if you save $3,000, we'll give you $6,000. And then you can use that to infuse it into your business, purchase your first home, repair homes, or pay for training. It is currently run through Interfaith Housing, has the tax credits for that. And that is run on them selling tax credits at 75% of the contribution. So we have $500,000 in tax credits that get sent to a 501c3 that can run the IDA program. And then you sell them for 75% of your contribution is a fully refundable tax credit. So when you donate to this program, it is a fully refundable tax credit for people who want to donate to it, which leaves us with $666,666 and some change each year in funding to help people buy their house, home repairs, small businesses, pay for college. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this on this call is that we've only had a total of like 12 small businesses utilize this program. And I think it could be very, very beneficial for them for those small needs that they have. I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of it. It is just a quick overview of it. And then if you guys had any questions on IDA, I was open to those also.
Did you say it and I missed it? Is there a maximum amount?
So by statute, you can't have more than $50,000 in an IDA account. With the way that Interfaith Housing has been doing IDA, they allow you to save up to $3,000. So if your goal for something is $9,000, you would save your $3,000 max, and then we would match it 2-to-1, so an extra $6,000 on top of your $3,000. So it does have you with a third of the buy-in for whatever growth you're trying to do. It's asset growth, and then we match it, and you take care of what you need, whether you're buying the house, paying for home repairs, or putting capital infusion into your business.
Steve Bradley asks, what is the process to determine if somebody qualifies for the program?
So for a person qualifying for the program, there's an application on the Interfaith Housing Services website. So they fill out the application, and then they go through a process of, they'll have the individual, I believe, what is it? They look at their finances, they have them look up their credit score, they have them go through, I believe it's 4 hours of a financial training course, depending on what they're saving for. And then they have to open their savings account. I believe it's all within a month of applying. They start doing that, and then they have a like a track sheet of their expenses that they have to do for 30 days. So you have the initial making sure that that person's going to have buy-in into the program, and then they start the saving process.
I got the first check.
I'm sorry?
Yes, we got some side conversation, if that was intended
okay.
for the rest of us. Why? So Ellen Barber asked, can you provide the website? And that, I assume, will be on the PDF that I'm going to send out with this recording. Is that correct?
I will give you a link to the website also, since that PDF is not going to let you be able to click on it. If you also go to kansascommerce.gov and look up IDA, I've got links to the website for the application and links for people who want to contribute to it to get that they want to buy the tax credits on there also.
Right.
Do you guys have any other questions or any questions for me in particular?
Rachell, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Ellen again. I feel like that 200% of the poverty line is really huge, and that could probably be the detriment that there's so few people who can even qualify. Do you think that that's an issue, or because I can't even think of anybody who's under that in my area?
Who's at an individual who's at or under 200% of the poverty line?
Yeah.
Isn't it close to 43 an individual, 43,000? Let me double check what it is. I didn't look at it for 2019.
So that would be the cap of what one person could make would be 43K?
I gotta look, but I believe so.
Because maybe that just sounds so high that nobody tries. I don't know. That just kind of threw me.
It sounds high.
So that's the maximum they can earn to be
Right.
private. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's just that 200% at or under 200% of the poverty line sounds high.
You're surprised that many people qualify?
No, I was just wondering if that 200% is what is scaring people off. I'm trying to think about how to look at this. So at or under. So you're looking up from the poverty line 200%. Is that what you're saying?
Right. So you take the poverty line at 200% of the poverty line, so times 2 is where they're at or where they can be at. And I don't know that that's high.
Well, now that you've explained it, it helps me understand how you're working it, because before I just looked at that and was like, it seemed like it went the other way below, but I
got
see
it.
how you're working it.
If you're 200% in 2018, if you were 200% of the poverty line, the household income level is 24,000.
I missed that. What
1,000 for an individual. Yeah.
you
It
said?
was 24,000 last year.
One person versus if you have a household of 4 people, 200%. From 200% of the federal poverty guidelines from 2018 was $50,000.
$23,000. Okay.
So it depends.
Quite a bit lower.
Depends on the household size too.
Right.
So.
Okay, that helps a lot. Thank you for explaining that.
Good.
Rachell, is there a place for folks either on our website or the Interfaith Housing website to determine what that is?
Yes, it is on Interfaith Housing's website. Mm-hmm.
Well, I just think that that's a wonderful incentive for people to save money, and then also an encouragement about what they can do. They can get a college education, they can buy a house or expand their business or buy a car, I believe you said?
No, not yet.
Not
That
yet?
was something that they were looking at adding.
Yeah,
And they were doing some statute changes last year that never got submitted.
yes. So it's really something to look at. Amy Selma asked, is the 4-hour financial course online?
Yes, it's all online.
Okay. And of course, with a library access, you would have, everyone would hopefully have access to that.
Mhm.
All right, Rachell, I really appreciate this. These are important programs, and glad that we learned about them. We had 27 people on the call, and so I'm really grateful for that. This is the time that we set aside for sharing by partners, and I'm going to open it up to anybody to share what's going on in your world.
Nancy?
Yes, Deb Brown.
This is Deb. Thanks for all the information about Kansas today. Always interested in what the Department of Commerce is doing. So thanks for sharing. And I look forward to seeing you all next month in September, doing a webinar about empty buildings.
That's right. I'll introduce that, say more about that at the end, but I was so pleased to see Deb on here with us. Deb, I looked just this morning to see if you'd broken Becky's old record of the number of views of your First Friday call, but we had a tremendous surge in Deb Brown viewings of Marketing Your Small Town, and it's an excellent presentation. I've told people about it in my travels often. But Becky, somebody found Becky's old recording and added 5 more viewings, and she's still 5 ahead of you. So I think Becky is spending her spare time watching the video to keep it.
I think so too, and I might have to do some more sharing as well. We can fix that.
But we look forward to that too. While you're thinking, I've had several people ask me to share for them. Dave Dukart from the Quest Center for Entrepreneurs asked me to share that Reno County is trying to be more inviting to the entrepreneurial people in their community. And since June 1, they have invested in 5 companies with gap financing through eCommunities in Startup Kansas. And they've loaned $233,000 and leveraged another $730,000 in investments. So congratulations, Dave, and the Quest Center. And Michael Amick, are you still on? Can you get to the speaker?
Yes.
Can you share what you shared with me this morning? I thought that looked excellent.
Yes, I received an email for the 2020 Census Committee there. There's actually going to be a grant opportunity for communities to use for social media and marketing to spur participation in the 2020 decennial census. I was actually involved way back in 2009 and 10 for the 2010 census, so I know how important it is for everyone in the communities to be counted, because it'll affect everything from federal funding to grant makers when they apply for grants to get the right numbers, to get the most for their proposals. But yes, I sent you the link. There's going to be a webinar and on August 13th at 2 o'clock about the grant and how to apply. And so if you wouldn't mind sending it out, that would be great.
I will.
I also wanted to mention that the SBA, we're having our annual Meet the Lender Matchmaker event here Tuesday, August 20th in Wichita State. It's a no-cost matchmaker where potential borrowers can meet up to well over a dozen, up to 20-some lenders, just to pitch and to get a feel for, access to capital and whether, which banks would be interested in helping them with that. So that's a free event. I'll send you the flyer. And then in September, on September 17th, we're going to have an export forum on how to take small businesses global. And it's going to be in partnership with Kansas Global and also a U.S. international trade agency here. So I'll send you both those flyers.
Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate both of those. Emily Kelly, who is a partnership specialist, came to our campus and told us that every person that we miss in our community in making an accurate census count cost our community $1,539 in potential federal grants and resources. So this isn't a question of whether or not that we should pay federal taxes. We are paying federal taxes, and they will be distributed to somebody, and we need an accurate count about where those resources go. They might as well come back to our communities. Who else wants to share? Really appreciate Michael sharing. Those are both great resources, all three. Well, that's super excellent. I appreciate all of you here. We had 27 people on the call, and Deb Brown gave away the secret that she is the next speaker in September for filling empty buildings. Everyone has them. Retail is in transition. It doesn't matter whether you live in Wichita or Wamego. It doesn't matter whether you live in Topeka or Iola. Everyone has them. But how do we fill those empty buildings? And Deb Brown always has such extensive knowledge about how to do that. I promise you a lively call with lots of good ideas, and one that will make you realize I'm not alone in this. Everybody has this problem, but there are real things that we can do. Is there anything else you want to share, Deb?
Sorry, I was on mute.
There'll
There'll be stories. There are stories and pictures that will come. I'll do a full presentation for you. So you can take these ideas into your community and begin filling your empty buildings.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all. The thought for the day as I leave you today is from Pablo Picasso. And the quote is, "I am always doing that which I cannot do in order that I may learn how to do it." That's what community development's all about. So go do something you don't know how to do. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. Everybody have a good weekend.
Thanks.